Welcome, evening, ladies and gerbils. Another edition of Evening on the channel. Tom Brand One Thoughts. Man, I need to change that YouTube name. Maybe the TSG Show, or something catchy. Need to change that name. Not feeling it. It's a lot to spit out. How am I going to make Tom Brand One Thoughts t-shirts? Evening, folks. And what we do here on this channel is we talk about current events from the past week. You know, things on my mind, and things I've observed, stories, you know, just shooting the breeze. So, where to begin? I mean, what has happened in the past week? I think one of the bigger stories in the past week, and what a lot of audience was glued to, I think this is safe to say, a lot of people were glued to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl. And, a lot of people tune into the Super Bowl. It's one of those events, I think, where even if you're not a sports fan, or even if you're not a football fan per se, it's still something that you're most likely going to watch, as opposed to all the other major sporting events, for many reasons. First of all, because you know the day that the Super Bowl will be. Sometimes it's hard to predict with the Stanley Cup Finals, the NBA Finals, Major League Baseball, because it all has to do with, how many games the team has won already, how many more they need to win. So that's why, there are various factors why sometimes it's hard to exactly predict, who is going to win. So that's why it's never really a set day. With the Super Bowl, you have a set day. It's turned into one of these events where a lot of people have parties. They have Super Bowl parties. Usually they have it in their home. Sometimes a bar or a local restaurant will have a Super Bowl party. It's a lot of, junk food, a lot of cheat days for people. And a lot of people will get together, all the husbands and wives. The husbands are, around the TV watching football. So are the wives. Sometimes, maybe not. But at least the wives have the other wives and girlfriends to go back and forth with. And it's just, the point is, it's just a fun, festive time, right? And, usually what happens, and one of the things that gravitates to people to attending these parties or these, events, is the fact that, it's the commercials and the performances, right? The Super Bowl with the performances this year, I mean, listen, with the musical acts, it's not my cup of tea. It's not my music. I could appreciate it, but it's not geared towards my demographic. It's geared towards not my demographic, right? The TV executives are going towards a different demo. They figure probably that they got the male, for the most part, the male audience tuned in, to the game. Why not focus now on maybe the people that are not so much into the game? Maybe these people discovered J-Lo and Shakira for the first time. I can't. The acts that are on TV for the halftime show are mainstream acts. So every year you get the group of the audience there that want to see I don't know, Blink 182 or or Limp Bizkit or I don't know, insert your band here, Foo Fighters or Pantera. These are the names that the Super Bowl halftime show goes after are usually, and it's been many years for that, it's mainstream acts. Mainstream acts. So you're not going to get these obscure, you're not going to get these acts that are not in the mainstream. And if you don't hear them on your pop radio, they're probably not going to be performing on the Super Bowl. That's the way it is, because people, they're going to say, as much as we love these groups, they're going to say, who is this group and what are they about? And why are, this group, never heard of them. I won't listen. Oh, it's J-Lo. Let me listen. There's a difference. So, some of us, we need to relax. Our favorite obscure band will not be performing on the Super Bowl. And it's been like this for many of years already. Right? Commercials are another thing that is a sticking point. The commercials for this year, really nothing stuck out at me like being hysterical, right? I mean, they all seemed, there was this commercial where I believe it was for Rocket Mortgage, I believe, or a mortgage company. It was some type of mortgage company where the guy is all muscular, all jacked. And then as he gets home, or as he's driving to wherever he's driving, he's starting to, take off his shirt, which was kind of like to make him look jacked. He takes that off. He takes off his hat, which had his long hair, and now he's bald, type of deal. So that was funny as the commercial was going on. I forget, I think it was Rocket. I forget who was the actor. But I mean, that was funny, I guess. It was like what would be unveiled next type of deal. So that was funny. But nothing really, at least to me, that stuck out. I remember, from the Super Bowl, I think one of probably, if you look at the commercials, my opinion, I know you had the Geico Cavemen too, but I think a commercial that probably sticks out, that everyone remembers being a Super Bowl commercial. That's the beauty of living here in the five boroughs. These people do not know how to drive, man. Jesus. New York City people do not know how to drive. Anyway, I think probably the most, at least my favorite all time, probably the most popular Super Bowl commercial that you guys probably recalled would probably be the Budweiser commercial with the three frogs. Budweiser, Budweiser. You remember that, right? And how about the other commercial too? Also with Bud. Bud has a history of just popping out funny commercials on the Super Bowl. They also popped out the "What's up?" where the guys are calling each other like, "Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up?" Like phone tag. The "What's up" commercial. You guys know what it is. That was a hysterical commercial, and that's probably those two probably stick out the most to me. But with the Super Bowl, with the musical acts, they usually do create a controversy. They do. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Can a controversy be good or bad? Wait, controversy is people. Oh, what? I'm not even using the word controversy in the right form. Controversy. People liked it, some people didn't. One gentleman really did not like it. And what he plans to do is he is planning on suing. He's planning on suing the NFL for millions upon millions of dollars for bringing pornography into his home via the musical acts of Shakira and J-Lo during the halftime show. He's afraid that he will be going in total doom, total damnation. Now listen, I am sure some kids that night when they were watching the Super Bowl, musical acts of J-Lo, Shakira, they're dancing, the whole works, the whole nine. The movements, the gyrations, I'm sure some boys that night decided that, they're no longer playing Fortnite, that they will no longer be interested in Fortnite, and their whole perception on what interests them, and definitely, I'm sure, changed that night. I'm sure it had. I'm sure it definitely had. But here's the thing. In a sense, they weren't hurting anyone, the musical acts. They weren't naked on your TV. It might be questionable to you, but it did pass the censorship, and we know that Fox, ABC, CBS, they're ready to hit that censor dump button as soon as anything controversial might happen that they feel. With the FCC, nothing got dumped. It all made its way through. So with that being said, it comes down to a matter of freedom of speech, and this person definitely expressed his displeasure and what he plans on doing. But no one's forcing you to watch anything, right? You could simply turn it off and tune back in when the match, the game is ready to start again. He goes on to say, and this is where I chuckle, this is where this gentleman, I'm sure, kind of shot himself in the foot. He said he's suing, right? He's suing the NFL for trillions and trillions of dollars for bringing pornography into his home. But then he goes on to say that he managed to shut off the TV before it was able to trickle in. So, if I'm a judge, you know, I'm reading his statement. So, sir, you're saying that this was pornography that came into your house, but you turned off the TV. So, therefore, how did it come into your house? Case dismissed. Case dismissed. Silly man. Now, you know, and there, obviously, if you check internet, if you check Twitter, if you check Facebook, social media, there was, you know, displeasure being voiced, going back and forth. Not to the extent of displeasure that this gentleman had voiced, but you know, there are various degrees. Somewhere, there is maybe a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 8-year-old. How long ago was that? And they're saying, "Well, Shakira, J-Lo, I survived the Janet Jackson nipple slip. I turned out okay." How about that, right? Imagine all the uproar and everything that has happened. You know, my. It's a whole, you know, we heard stories about, you know, how when Elvis Presley was around, you know, all the parents would be against Elvis Presley because of the way that he was moving his hips, with his gyrations, and he had pants on. With these acts, you know, you could see their legs, the belly buttons. Holy tamale, imagine if J-Lo and Shakira were in Elvis Presley era. People's heads would be exploding. You know, that's the problem. I'm sure that, you know, other countries, they just laugh at us. We make things so innocent into something so dirty when it is not dirty at all. A simple dancing, nothing was, you know, there was no like any type of finger movement or any type of anything, to me anyway, that would even suggest sexual innuendo or anything like that. So I just don't get it. I just do not get it. Now, if nuns were dancing, would they be dancing at the way J-Lo and Shakira were dancing? Probably not. However, sometimes us as society, we like to complain over any little thing that we could, you know, get our hands on, and that's probably where I'm gonna go with this angle with, you know, J-Lo and Shakira. while we're on the topic of lawsuits, or we were on the topic of lawsuits, if we could just jump back into the topic of lawsuits. We hear from a Hooters waitress. This made the news here on the internet, the fine wide world of the internet. And what apparently has happened is a Hooters waitress, a local Hooters restaurant, was having a competition, or they wanted to do a competition to see, which waitress could win, could sell the most beer. So, challenge accepted. Did the one waitress, and she, it was told, whoever wins this competition would win a Toyota. It wasn't said car. It was said Toyota. You follow me? Well, this one waitress, did win the competition, selling the most beer at this Hooter establishment. And then she did get her prize. It was a Toyota. Yoda, the little furry guy. Not a Toyota car. Now, she was under the impression that it would be a Toyota car, and because of that, she is suing for damages. Suing, because why not? Everyone loves to sue. So that is the thing to do. So this person will be suing because she got a Toyota and not the vehicle which she thought she would. Now, listen, you know what happens when you assume. And, the establishment said that they never said anything about a Toyota vehicle. They just called it Toyota. So what happens when you assume, as the old adage, as the old saying goes, you make an ass out of you and me. Now, the thing about this, though, to the waitress's defense, maybe, just maybe, she didn't even know what a Toyota was. So imagine, and it seems like, maybe, would you think of Toyota or, now, she probably didn't know what a Yoda was. So imagine the look on her face, and the executive from this restaurant, where, bada boom, here you go, here's your prize, a Toyota! And this furry stuffed animal is waiting to be hugged, and this waitress is about to just stomp a mud hole into Toyota because she thought it would be a Toyota vehicle, and instead it's a furry animal. The boss of that, company says, and this is why we could never give incentives to our employees, because whatever we give them, they just laugh it and completely don't take anything seriously, never grateful. Now listen, the bright side about getting a Toyota as opposed to a Toyota is I'm sure if there's a gift tax, if there's a sales tax on that prize, that stuffed animal, that bear, is going to be a lot less than a Toyota vehicle. You would have to kind of ask this woman, this lady, what type of Toyota vehicle was she expecting? Was she expecting a Toyota Supra, Toyota Highlander, Toyota Camry? Because they come with different price ranges and they could have different tax on them. So it's best to know too. I wondered if she was prepared. Maybe she even had, like, she's like, yeah, I'm going to win. I'm going to get my Toyota. She already probably was thinking in advance, I probably need a certified bank check. Here's my certified bank check. I got it in my pocket. You know, it's signed. I got copies of the check for you. And this is what happens. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. She was expecting more really than what happened. But that sales tax would probably be a killer. I mean, you hear stories of contestants on the Price is Right that usually win, like if they win the showcase, if they win their showcase and another showcase, or even if they win like a regular prize and don't even win the showcase, that a lot of them, although they win, they don't take home the prize because you got to pay a lot. You got to pay tax on it, and that tax is what kills them. So this honestly maybe could have been a blessing in disguise for the lady that sold the most beer, because listen, now you got Toyota, not the car, but you got the bear, and you're still gonna save yourself money. You're gonna save yourself money on gas, the sales tax, and listen, you have someone to sleep with, right? The more the merrier, right? So goes the saying. The more the merrier people you have to sleep with, the more the merrier. Coming out of New Zealand is also news that McDonald's will be replacing toys with books. It's an author out there, and he does children's books. The box is also having a redesign to that story that's coming out that particular week. It's a abridged version of the story, and for all of you people, abridged means a shorter version of the actual full story. So, at least for now, no more toys. No more toys in Happy Meals. At least out in New Zealand, you get books. And, books are cool because they could take you, with imagination, right? I think books are really cool, like if presented the right way to your child, right? So I think it could be a cool thing out there. Like I know, like my child, his imagination, especially now at his age, as opposed to last year, his imagination and his make-believe, like playing, has turned up like another, turned up a whole couple of notches now. It's make-believing, with dinosaurs, and he's make-believing in cooking food and all this jazz. So the imagination level is up 1,000, up 1,000. So like when you read these stories, if you teach your child early on to read stories, they get so involved in their books that your imagination will, it will take them places. It will take them places. We read to our child from an early age. We've been reading, still a toddler, and that's something he looks forward to in story time. And don't get me wrong, toys are good too. But if you have one car, especially like when you have so many cars, what are these toys that you have? Sometimes they're like cars, or they or market, go after like an upcoming movie, whether it be Disney, whatever movies up and coming, Ice Age, Matchbox cars. I mean, it's if you have if you have a couple, after a while, they all seem the same, right? So if you have a couple cars, what's another car from a Happy Meal? It's all just like the other cars that you have, right? What's the difference after a while? It might get a little bit repetitive, might a little bit get boring. But, if you ask my child, he knows what type of car he has, where he got it from, where it belongs, if it belongs with this car, if it doesn't belong with that car, So, yeah, I mean, there's a science and the strategic behind all this. But, so, I could see the pros and cons. Every kid loves toys, right? But, if you have some of them, they'll all become like the same. But, with a book, with each different story, your imagination could go many different places with each different story. So I think it's a cool concept. It's a cool concept. I have no problem with it. FICO will be raising its criteria as far as scoring. As you remember, you have FICO, and it's supposed to be a little bit more stronger now, right? If you have FICO, Experian, and TransUnion. So they're going to be looking on the fact of how you're holding on to. They're gonna factor in not so much. What's going to be weighed upon is your prior history. Let's say, in the past 2 years, if you had any latenesses, any charge-offs in the last 2 years, they're gonna look at that a little bit more. They're going to look at that a little bit more in depth. It's going to be a little bit more rigorous. So the motto is going to be higher on grading. Look at your history from last 2 years. Then, and they're going to reward the fact that if you are able to if you're holding on to higher debt in those 2 years, on-time payments, they reward that as well. So, and it's up to, obviously, the individual. It will be up to the lenders, whether it be when you're applying for a mortgage or car loan, to see if they will be accepting that new scoring model. And, with the way things are now, in certain industries, with money and defaults, and that's always going to be there, defaulting and late payments and charge-offs. That's always going to be there. But times change. Banks taking losses and businesses closing. It's it's running a business. When they give you money, they want to make sure that they will get that money, that they could trust you in getting that money eventually. What I could tell you guys, having done mortgages and still in I've done different types of mortgages, still in the mortgage industry. Look at your credit report. See what you have on your credit report. If there's something that's on your credit report and you know it should not be on there, you're more than welcome to dispute it. Show proof that you've taken care of that issue. And do your research, do your work, send it to the credit bureaus. Send it to TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, because odds are if it's on one bureau, it's probably on with the remaining two. So do your due diligence. Make sure your credit it has what it should, and not any discrepancies. Follow up with the credit union, send your paperwork, give them. Remember that it takes about 30 days to reflect. Ideally, let's say if your limit is on a credit card $10,000, you want to keep it at below 5. Ideally, probably somewhere in the 3,500 range. Easier said than done. But yeah, I mean, those are just steps you can do just to improve your credit. And you guys probably heard this a gazillion times from elsewhere too. If you're looking to rebuild your credit, take out a prepaid card, and just use that prepaid card. Not a prepaid card, but get yourself a simple store card. Let's just say a Target card. You go for your groceries in Target or Walmart, wherever it may be. So you go there every week, put that charge on that card, and charge it, and then pay it right away. So you're showing the credit agencies that your credit is good, that you're making your payments and you're rebuilding your credit that way, and then sooner, again, these people do not watch how they drive, and then soon, eventually, you will have credit companies knocking on your door. So those were just a couple of things that I wanted to go over from the past week. I hope all is well, guys. Do check out my other channels. All the information is down below. Hope all is well. Until next time. See ya!